Hi, my name is Carolina Garcia Wang, and I am recording my reaction to our classroom's article, Shakespeare in the Bush by Laura Bohan. And we're going to talk about the worldview and intercultural communication. This article is about Tiv people in the West Africa region and about an anthropologist who is trying to explain Hamlet's story, Shakespeare, Hamlet's story. And what seemed to be, or what's believed to be a universal Shakespeare Hamlet, um, so originally she expected this translation to be the same no matter where you go. Um, and as she told the story, the elders interrupted her and basically would try to translate through their beliefs the understanding of Hamlet. The they questioned, of course, the actions, disagreed with mostly all the explanations. Um, ex- and once she concluded the Hamlet, she realized that it wasn't as she had thought it be translated with their worldviews and cultural system that they were only experienced or exposed to. Um, as she, this article really amplifies that individuals in different regions of the world, they just don't translate stories the same as we would. Or I feel like every culture does this. But this article clearly indicates that because they're going to unintentionally process it through what they believe and what they have experienced through their environment. And of course, their translation in family roles and marriage and elders and even witchcraft, what looked like didn't have an understanding of what Hamlet Shakespeare was trying to display. To the TIFF people, it just was a different, totally different translation. And this really gives a clear indication that worldviews do. So in Shakespeare in the Bush, um, Bohannan effectively she demonstrates how cultural backgrounds influence individuals' interpretations. Um, she reconnects her experience of retelling Hamlet, the classic play by William Shakespeare, to the Tiv people in Nigeria and how cultural differences can affect understanding. The story reveals that people from diverse societies may interpret universal themes such as death and revenge and morality definite differently because of their distinguished um, worldviews shaped by the language, tradition, and social norms. This highlights the importance of the cultural awareness and open-mindedness, which when encouraging an intercultural communication, fostering deep understanding across all cultural boundaries. So clearly, these attempts led to misunderstandings and the interpretations with the Tivs perceiving the characters and the motives all based on their own character. I'm sorry, their own cultural dynamic, which creates confusion about the play and its original themes. Um, so this definitely again amplifies the cross cultural communication literacy, comprehension, all of this is like necessary in like being more aware of the cultural differences. Um, and really to try and get an understanding in engaging with literature from different traditions and societies, because I can't even sit here and think that I know what that would be like, because I don't believe I have been exposed to um, such a diverse culture. And I kind of live in an environment where I thought I was exposed to a large, I mean, next question. Okay, I feel like I should just probably read what I wrote. I mean, I'm gonna try to summarize it. Yeah, bloopers and bloopers. So, it, the Tiv people in Nigeria are known to be an oral culture with beliefs and social structures, and they basically controlled how they translated Hamlet, the story of Hamlet. And despite, the theme of the play, such as betrayal and revenge and moral, cultural differences, their views on justice and authority made it challenging for the story to resonate fully with their community, or their community. Let me see. And Bohannan, she definitely brought this out in interpreting and translating the literature across, this. It definitely like shifted like the whole translation. And see, let's see, discuss on how this article illustrates. Okay, so her Bohan's experience of retelling the play to the Tiv people, it just amplifies a profound. Oh, give me a second, honey. So Bohannan, she definitely, sadly, demonstrated the ethnocentric bias. She pretty much expected and tried to force it interpret this story in the same manner as Western audiences, and that was something that she, on her own, by her cultural viewpoints, based on the assumption that the literature's themes hold a universal significance across these like diverse cultures, societies. But she learned that she overlooked this, you know, cultural beliefs, these unique cultural beliefs, um, such as their deep reference for ancestral spirits, which they honor through elaborate like rituals and ceremonies, as well as their own oral like storytelling traditions that also are vital, and they pass down moral values and history. She based her, I mean, failed. She failed to acknowledge the complicity of these people's perspectives, including their interpretive framework that symbolically means con like it just gave clear, deep rooted understanding um, in their everyday like living. Uh, this definitely distorted her comprehension of the Tiv culture, and it hindered her like grasp in the significance, right, in storytelling practices. And as this resulted in, um, she doesn't have the sensitivity and like depths of respecting what their traditions are. Well, that was my first go on doing this, and I hope I did a great job, because I am just gonna process it. It was a reaction to an article, and yeah, that was the first one for me. Oh, okay. So it's very clear that the translations are going to be processed through what they've experienced as far as like cultural experiences. And this clearly gives an indication that if we were like viewing others' cultures, we'd also reflect on our own, as the Tiv people did. And it was really difficult for her to how do you translate your cultural experiences with new people, and how they translate what seemed to be a dramatic encounter with translating this to the Tiv. So Bohannan herself assumed one correct interpretation of Hamlet, hers, and that was a Western way of like how to process and teach other cultures, right? We just assume that it was correct. And it came to the final conclusion that it was because of her background that she felt that way. And she also expected the Tiv people to learn it and accept it. But it was her, it was because of her worldview that she assumed this to be true. Um, and of course, she was challenged and had to come to a realization that her decision was because of her background, her cultural background. And it wasn't like the only universal truth, right? It just wasn't. Um, and this whole story just amplifies what could be a reality to us is just not always everyone's translation.